presidents of 4 major universities in the U.S. have zero good answers for the rampant anti-Semitism that has exploded on their campuses since October 7th. Members of Congress grilled them for 4 hours yesterday on anti-Israel student groups and foreign funding, and the answers they received were, to say the least, pathetic. The IDF is making major gains in Gaza, moving into what Chief of Staff Herzi Halevi announced as the third phase of Israel's ground operation. Israel has systems in place to flood Hamas tunnels with seawater, and there's speculation that they have already begun to do so. And news came out that Hamas drugged freed hostages in order to make them appear calm and happy after all the other horrible things that Hamas did to them. Stay tuned for that and a whole lot more here on today's show. I'm Justin, and this is the Israel Guys. Welcome to the Israel Guys, where we believe that in a world of Jew hatred and anti-Israel propaganda, you should have a direct connection to the land and people of Israel. Welcome back, guys. Great to be back with you again here on today's show. First off, make sure to subscribe here on YouTube or wherever you're watching. Also, like this video, and you can hit the notification bell on our channel so you never miss any of the content that we're putting out Monday through Friday here on our channel. Also, go follow us on our other social media platforms. We're on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. Also, if you want, you can follow me on Twitter. You can you can type in Justin Hilton, or you can click the link in the description below if you want to follow me. Before we jump into the crazy hearing that happened yesterday with some of the top universities in America, I want to give a quick update on the war here in Israel, what is happening with the IDF down in Gaza. In the days since the ceasefire was terminated by Hamas, the IDF has been engaged in some of the most heavy fighting that has happened since the ground invasion first started towards the end of October. IDF Chief of Staff Herzi Halevi announced that Phase 3 of Israel's war against Hamas had begun, also saying that many Hamas operatives, including senior commanders, have been eliminated in recent days. In a press conference, Prime Minister Netanyahu said the IDF had killed half of Hamas's battalion chiefs. Thank God they are taking out the terrorists. They're also eliminating terrorists in the southern Gaza city of Khan Yunis, and they continue to move deeper into Hamas strongholds in northern Gaza. Israel is prepared to use any means necessary within the bounds of international law, of course. That's what they're doing. They're not going outside of the bounds of international law. They have not so far. They're using any means necessary to destroy Hamas infrastructure, including the possibility, get this, of flooding Hamas tunnels with seawater, which honestly to me sounds like a very good idea. I'm not sure how else they're going to clear out the tunnels more effectively. The Wall Street Journal revealed Israel has 5 large water pumps in place to begin flooding tunnels if it decides to do so. There are some videos circulating already on social media of water filling one of the tunnels, but as of the time of recording this video Wednesday afternoon, it has not been confirmed that actually happened, that was a real video that happened. But yeah, it looks like they're going to start very soon with flooding Hamas terror tunnels, which honestly sounds like a very good idea to me. So there was a hearing, nearly 4 hours long, U.S. House of Representatives Committee on Education and Workforce hearing on campus anti-Semitism after Hamas's October 7th terror attacks. So the presidents of Harvard University, the University of Pennsylvania, and Massachusetts Institute of Technology faced questions from several different members of Congress about stuff like political bias among students and faculty, free speech in the actions of anti-Israel student groups on their campuses, also about receiving billions of dollars. Yes, billions of dollars from foreign governments and entities. Honestly, it's about time. It's about time there was a hearing on these college campuses. There has been horrible stuff, like awful, insane stuff going on these colleges' campuses since October 7th. As you probably know, for instance, following the attack on October 7th, right after the attack, 30 Harvard student organizations co-signed a public statement in response to Hamas's attack, claiming that Israel was, quote, entirely responsible for all unfolding violence. Yes, that's what they said. And what is even more horrible, what is more crazy, is that the Harvard leadership did not immediately condemn this statement. It took them a while to actually condemn this letter. There's also been massive pro-Hamas protests on these campuses that have often turned violent, with little to no consequences to the students, to the people who have been involved in these protests. Also, tons of videos online going all over the place, students ripping down hostage posters. There's been a lot of hate, a lot of anti-Semitism happening on these college campuses, and it's about time that the hate was addressed. So these university presidents, they were brought to the hearing, the U.S. Congress, and they literally could not give a straight answer to any of the questions that they were asked. We don't have time to get into everything and into the entire 4 hours that the hearing was, but I want to go through a couple of the main points that I think will blow your mind, and they are absolutely crazy and insane. Here's Representative Jim Banks asking the president of UPenn why the university allows anti-Semitic professors and rallies on campus while barring conservative speakers, specifically why they invited blatantly anti-Semitic Roger Waters to speak, and she can't give an answer. Watch this.
Ms. McGill, just weeks before the October 7 terror attacks against Israel, Penn hosted a Palestine Rights Literature Festival. The event featured Mark Lamont Hill, who was fired by CNN for calling for the destruction of Israel. It also hosted and included a member of the Palestinian Youth Movement, which has collaborated with anti-Israel terrorists, and maybe most notably, Roger Waters, the really wacky former Pink Floyd vocalist. The same Roger Waters, by the way, who's publicly used anti-Jewish slurs, desecrated the memory of Anne Frank, and has dressed up as a Nazi and floated a pig balloon with the Star of David at many of his concerts. Why in the world would you host someone like that on your college campus to speak at the so-called Palestinian Rights Literature Festival?
I appreciate the opportunity to discuss this. Anti-Semitism has no place at Penn.
Why did you invite Roger Waters? What did you think you would get out of him?
Anti-Semitism has no place at Penn, and our free speech policies are guided by the United States Constitution.
Why did you invite Roger Waters? And
Anti-Semitism does not have a place at Penn. And
you condemn what?
Of course, they use excuses like saying they are committed to free speech, when we know they don't care about free speech. They have a track record of not protecting free speech, and they suppress it whenever it is convenient for them. Somebody said on Twitter, quote, "The president struggled to explain whether institutions which have repeatedly denounced, disinvited, and punished professors for airing conservative views suddenly discovered the value of free speech when students and faculty began defending Hamas." Very good point. Somebody else said, "The president's answers reflect the profound educational, moral, and ethical failures that pervade certain of our elite educational institutions, due in large part to their failed leadership." Very, very good point. Spot on. Representative Elise Stefanik asked all three presidents if calling for the genocide of Jews is bullying and harassment according to their codes of conduct. You think it would be a very simple, straightforward answer, right? Well, watch this video.
Dr. Kornbluth, at MIT, does calling for the genocide of Jews violate MIT's code of conduct or rules regarding bullying and harassment? Yes or no?
If targeted at individuals, not making public statements.
Yes or no? Calling for the genocide of Jews does not constitute bullying and harassment?
I have not heard calling for the genocide for Jews on our campus.
But you've heard chants for intifada.
I've heard chants, which can be anti-Semitic depending on the context, when calling for the elimination of the Jewish people.
So those would not be according to the MIT's code of conduct or rules.
That would be investigated as harassment if pervasive and severe.
Ms. McGill, at Penn, does calling for the genocide of Jews violate Penn's rules or code of conduct? Yes or no?
If the speech turns into conduct, it can be harassment. Yes.
I am asking specifically calling for the genocide of Jews. Does that constitute bullying or harassment?
If it is directed and severe or pervasive, it is harassment.
So the answer is yes.
It is a context-dependent decision, Congresswoman.
It's a context-dependent decision. That's your testimony today. Calling for the genocide of Jews is depending upon the context. That is not bullying or harassment. This is the easiest question to answer yes, Ms. McGill. So is your testimony that you will not answer yes?
If it if the
Yes
speech
or no?
if the speech becomes conduct, it can be harassment. Yes.
Conduct meaning committing the act of genocide? The speech is not harassment? This is unacceptable, Ms. McGill. I'm going to give you one more opportunity for the world to see your answer. Does calling for the genocide of Jews violate Penn's code of conduct when it comes to bullying and harassment? Yes or no?
It can be harassment.
The answer is yes. And Dr. Gay, at Harvard, does calling for the genocide of Jews violate Harvard's rules of bullying and harassment? Yes or no?
It can be, depending on the context.
What's the context?
Targeted as an individual, at an individual.
It's targeted at Jewish students, Jewish individuals. Do you understand your testimony is dehumanizing them? Do you understand that dehumanization is part of antisemitism? I will ask you one more time. Does calling for the genocide of Jews violate Harvard's rules of bullying and harassment? Yes or no?
Anti-Semitic rhetoric.
And is it anti-Semitic rhetoric?
Anti-Semitic rhetoric, when it crosses into conduct that amounts to bullying, harassment, intimidation, that is actionable conduct, and we do take action.
So the answer is yes, that calling for the genocide of Jews violates Harvard Code of Conduct, correct?
Again, it depends on the context.
It does not depend on the context. The answer is yes, and this is why you should resign. These are unacceptable answers across the board.
Like, what on earth is going on here? Why can't they just give a simple, straight answer? Why can't they just say, yes, calling for the genocide of Jews it goes against their code of conduct for bullying and harassment? No, they can't give a straight answer. Well, it depends on the context, if it turns into actual actions. Why can't you just say that, yes, it goes against your policy? Honestly, the lack of moral clarity that is going on here is, to say the very least, disturbing. I think we all know they are anti-Semites, even though they will not say it. They will not. They're saying, yes, they're against anti-Semitism, but what we just watched proved that they are flat out anti-Semites, or to put it more plainly, Jew haters. This is absolutely disgusting stuff that is happening. Everyone needs to call on these presidents of these universities to resign immediately. Think about this. How many of our future leaders are being educated in these hotbeds of hatred? The brutal attack that Hamas inflicted on Israel on October 7th was the worst tragedy to befall the Jewish people since the Holocaust. We believe that right now is the time for Christians around the world to stand with Israel and provide support during this crisis that is happening here in Israel. Here at the Israel Guys and Hayovel, we started Operation Itai with the goal of airlifting vital supplies and critical equipment to the towns, small communities, and farms of Judea and Samaria, ensuring that they stay protected during this horrible time. We're bringing in things like protective vests, helmets, thermal drones, night vision goggles, binoculars, flashlights, security cameras, security gates, and much, much more. Guys, right now is the time for people from all over the world, Christians all over the world, to rise up with one voice to equip and defend Israel's biblical heartland, ensuring that a situation that happened in Gaza, the attacks that happened in Gaza, will never happen inside the area here in Judea and Samaria. Guys, please join us. If there's ever a time to show your support for the nation, for the people of Israel, it is right now. We have airplanes lined up to transport the needed equipment to Israel from the United States. We've already had a ton of stuff already arrive here in Israel, and it's going out already to all the to the different farms and communities here in Judea and Samaria. But we need your help in the way of financial support. Guys, we're trying to raise $29 million to defend and equip and protect the small farms, towns, and communities of Judea and Samaria. You can go to operationetai.com or click on the link in the description below. In a crazy report, shocking, even though it should not be surprising, because these evil Hamas monsters will do anything for propaganda, anything to make themselves look more human than they are. There's a report, or the health ministry is saying that Hamas drugged released hostages to make them appear happy. A senior health ministry official on Tuesday revealed at a health committee meeting that the released hostages reported receiving clonazepam before they were released from captivity. According to the official, the hostages were dosed in order to ensure that they would provide Hamas with complimentary footage in which they are smiling and calm in the terrorists' hands. And that is exactly what happened. You've seen the videos all over social media of the hostages looking pretty calm, looking actually semi-normal when they're being released by Hamas. And all the anti-Israel people, all the Jew haters are going crazy saying, look, Hamas treated them, they didn't treat them bad at all. Look, they even liked their captors. They were waving to their captors as they were saying bye. Well, guys, these are the same monsters who committed the horrific atrocities on October 7th. No, they did not become humane, and they are using any means necessary to make themselves look more humane, even though we know that they absolutely are not. Dr. Hagar Mizrahi, head of the General Medicine Division in the Health Department, said, quote, "We know that Hamas gave the hostages in captivity Clonex pills so that they would have a feeling of euphoria," Clonex being the Israeli trade name for clonazepam. This is just one of the horrible things that the Hamas monsters did. Other things is they were deprived, some of the hostages were deprived of food and water. There's reports that children lost up to 15% of their body weight. There's reports that a lot of the hostages were being starved almost, that they were living on just a little bit of rice or like one pita a day, that they were not getting a whole lot of food. Also, hostages, including children, were forced to watch videos of the horrific things that Hamas did on October 7th. So it should not be surprising to us that Hamas used this, that they drugged the hostages. It's just another one of the horrific, awful things that they did to the hostages. Guys, in conclusion, stand up for what is right. Even when all these college campuses are they're hating Israel, they're spewing out anti-Semitism every day. Stand up for what is right. Pray for Israel. Give to Israel. Make sure to check out Operation Itai. You can help us get to $29 million to help defend and equip the communities of Judea and Samaria. It's a great way to stand with the nation, with the people of Israel. Guys, don't forget to subscribe, get the conversation going down below. And as always, tune out the fake news and tune into what is actually happening here in the land of Israel. We'll be back every day, Monday through Friday, with your direct connection to the land and people of Israel.